Long before the Roman Empire embraced Christianity, before grand cathedrals ever dotted the landscape of Europe, a small kingdom, caught between two giants, made a choice that would forever alter the course of history. But this isn't just a story about a country adopting a new religion. This is the story of how Armenia became the very first Christian nation on earth, a full dozen years before the faith was even tolerated in Rome. And it all began with a king who turned into a wild boar, and the prisoner he'd left to die in a pit. Our story kicks off in the late 3rd century. The Kingdom of Armenia is a land of stunning mountains and ancient traditions, but it's also stuck in an incredibly precarious position. For centuries, it has survived on a knife's edge, a buffer state between the two great superpowers of the day, the Roman Empire to the west and the Sassanid Persian Empire to the east. The Armenian kings were locked in a constant struggle for survival. Think of it as a huge, dangerous family feud with their Persian cousins. This tension forced Armenia into a close but often difficult alliance with Rome. Into this pressure cooker of politics and pagan faith, two men emerge whose lives are about to collide in the most violent way imaginable. The first is King Tiridates III. Educated in Rome and a fierce follower of Armenia's pagan gods, he's the rightful heir to a throne that was stolen from him when his father was assassinated. The second man is named Gregory. He is the son of the nobleman who, in a dark twist of fate, was the assassin who murdered Tiridates' father. While the infant Tiridates was rushed to safety in Rome, Gregory's family was almost completely wiped out in retaliation. Only Gregory survived, spirited away by his nurse, and raised as a passionate Christian in Caesarea. As a young man, Gregory felt a deep need to atone for his father's sin. So he returned to Armenia and entered the service of the new king Tiridates III, all while keeping his true identity a secret. It was a gamble that would almost certainly get him killed, but he hoped to serve the king and maybe, just maybe, bring his Christian faith to the Armenian people. For a while, things were quiet. Gregory worked as a secretary in the king's court, but that peace was built on a lie, and it was about to shatter. King Tiridates, a zealous pagan, threw a massive festival for the goddess Anahit and ordered everyone in his court to make a sacrifice. For the king, it was a routine show of power. For Gregory, it was an impossible choice. He refused to worship a pagan idol, openly declaring his steadfast faith in Christ. For the king, this was an unthinkable act of defiance. His fury turned ice cold when jealous courtiers saw their chance. They came forward and told the king exactly who Gregory was, the son of Anak, the man who had murdered his father. The betrayal felt absolute. The man in his service was not only a follower of a troublesome new faith, but the son of his mortal enemy. Tiridates had Gregory tortured, but even in agony, Gregory refused to renounce his faith. Realizing he couldn't break the man's spirit, Tiridates ordered a fate worse than death. He had Gregory thrown into the Kor Virap, the deep dungeon, a dark pit filled with snakes and vermin, a place from which no one ever returned. For 13 long years, Gregory was left there to rot, completely forgotten. As the legend goes, he was kept alive only by his faith and by a kind local widow who, guided by visions in her dreams, secretly dropped a loaf of bread into the pit each day. While Gregory wasted away in the darkness, King Tiridates ruled with an iron fist, brutally persecuting the small Christian community in his kingdom. It was during this time that a group of Christian nuns, led by the abbesses Guyane and Hripsime, fled from the Roman Emperor Diocletian and sought asylum in Armenia. But this final act of cruelty seemed to break something inside the king. Shortly after the nuns were martyred, he was overcome by a strange madness. The chronicles of the time, part history and part legend, describe something terrifying. Tiridates began acting like a wild boar, losing his mind, roaming the forests, and even chewing his own flesh. The kingdom was in chaos. Armenia had a king who had become a beast, and no doctor could cure him. Despair fell over the palace. Then, the king's sister, Khosrow began having the same dream night after night. An angel told her that only one man could save her brother, Gregory, the prisoner everyone assumed had died in Kor Virap years ago. After the 5th dream, the desperate court finally listened. A group was sent to the pit. They lowered a rope, shouting, "Gregory, if you are alive, come out." To their absolute shock, a hand grabbed the rope. They pulled, and from the darkness emerged a man, emaciated, blackened from his years in the pit, but somehow, miraculously, alive. Gregory was cleaned, clothed, and brought before the tormented king. Where all the doctors and pagan priests had failed, Gregory simply knelt and prayed.